Hey everyone, my name is Mike again, back again with more news about sports, health, exercise, and God. So I want to start with men and participating in female sports. This is it's been over the top. It's just way too far. Um, I wrestled for about 12 years of my life, and everybody that knows me says, "Oh, geez, I wish they knew that I wanted to wrestle a woman uh, in high school." And I love women. Don't get me wrong, but I wanted to wrestle them, not to hurt them, but it's just not a good thing for men and women to compete athletically in certain events. Frankly, in any physical event, and I can prove it, and I will today. So it's not going to be a very long video. I'm going to start off by telling a story of my youth and powerlifting experience, and then what I have observed with the numbers, and then I also have a pretty good solution that's probably not rocket science for most of us. So, anyhow, without further ado, when I was 19 years old, I met Bill Kashmir. Now, Bill is he's a legend in powerlifting. He in the 80s he won three out of the four. He had three out of the four world powerlifting records under his belt, and he went on to become a commentator on the world's strongest man, and he did that for years. He was so dominant in the 80s, and that they did not let him win for a number of years. It was really interesting. So there's politics back in that organization then, but they certainly didn't allow women to compete with the man, because that would be fruitless for the woman. But nor did they allow men um, to compete against the women, which would be devastating for the women. Look, I'm an exercise specialist, a physiologist, so let me go through some numbers here. Average man is 200 pound. Average woman is 170 pounds. Average height from a man 5'10", about 70 inches. Average height for a woman is about 5'4". Okay, that's about 5-6 inch difference. VO2 max, which is the volume of oxygen that you can actually consume in the body and use aerobically. That's a measure of our fitness. Women have about 70% of the capacity to use oxygen in their body to convert it to fuel their muscles. So when it comes to averages, because height averages, weight differences, VO2 max differences, their ability to use oxygen, and I'm sure we all know that there's strength differences too. Um, and those are quite prolific. On average, men have about one third more strength capacity than than women, and that's across the board. Um, Sports are competitive. It's not as if you have teams that are practicing and they're getting in shape. They're practicing the skill of the sport. Um, they're regular and sometimes obsessed with the training for the sport, the physical training, the mental training, the sacrifices. Heck, it's not likely that you have a team that practices, say, for 10 months out of the year, and then does well, is notorious for doing well, and all of a sudden here comes somebody that's never played the sport, and they think they can walk on and become a star. That doesn't happen, because people get embarrassed. They're prideful. And pride is not necessarily a virtuous thing, and in fact, it's one of those sins recognized as as a human flaw is pride. But surely you wouldn't see any female walking into a, a a room full of men in a locker room and say, "Let's go. Um, I'm I'm going to do well here in this sport, whether it's football or basketball." That's not likely to be happening because they're not going to be prideful at the end of that event. If anything, they're going to feel shame and they're going to be humiliated, not because they're a woman. Frankly, it's because they tried to compete against men, and they're not in the same environment. It's not an evil thing that most people don't watch women's sports. In fact, the analogy on the internet is the women that are mad that women aren't getting as much money as men, participation is low. You know, the the people who can solve that problem are the women. They can go to these games and fill up the stadiums, but that's not going to happen either. It's not biased against women. It's a sports are inspiring because average people can see brilliance on an athletic standpoint. They can see humans do miraculous things, jump out of the building, run faster than a deer, lift a house, compete with incredible skill, and then the next day do it again. It's really inspiring, and it brings people together. And it's one of the beautiful things about sports is it brings unlike people together for frankly something very stupid. Sport teams. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to God if the Steelers win or the Lions. Doesn't matter how involved you are and how many pillows of MSU or U of M, whatever college team you like. It doesn't matter to anybody that has their priorities right. But the beautiful thing about sports and being entertained through sports and the awe, seeing the brilliance of humans is we can forget about everything and just concentrate on human talent. And where we might be sitting side by side from people that we don't have much, if anything, in common. But for that game, we both like Lake Superior State University Lakers or MSU Spartans or the Detroit Lions or even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But for Ren, we have something in common. Even though it's trivial, it's meaningless to the quality and goals of life. It brings unlike people together and they can root for a common cause and they can see physical brilliance created by God. I don't want to see that ruined by people who have sexual perversion, sexual mental illnesses called transgenderism, and they come and want to compete against females. So I was I was pretty blown away when I heard that the USA Powerlifting had granted transgender men into competing with females. There's no other sport that has a disparage of differences than powerlifting. It starts off at like wrestling weights, 100, 105 pounds, something like, in there. And not too far off there between men and women. But the women won't place. They won't even come close at that weight. And every added pound that you give to a man It's exacerbated the difference between a woman. In other words, as you go up the scale within an adult man, you start maybe at 100 pounds, go up to 200 pounds, the weight maximums for lifts, for force power coming from their muscles is exponentially higher at the bigger weights than it is the smaller weights. So it starts off where women can't compete again, they can't even place. And then as you go up into the weight classes, that difference gets worse and worse. And I just want to say it's not even close. Uh, that in track and field, you have every event from 100 meters, 200 meters, 800 meters, 400-meter hurdles. There's no women that even competes in the top 8 spots. And this isn't just a male athlete versus an equivalent female counterpart. No. This is actually 2016 Olympic women competing in their times against high school boys. Let me repeat. The 2016 Olympic female track athletes were compared to high school boys that same year. Of all the track and field competitions, 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, 5,000 meters, 400-meter hurdles, 4x400-meter relay, uh, long jump, triple jump, pole vault, shot put, men dominate. In fact, the only one that interestingly, the only thing that was a little bit more diverse was the shot put, but I suspect it's because maturity differences with the women. Some of them are going to be a little bit stronger comparatively than a high school boy. That difference would be completely negated um, after the boy has matured, and surely if you compared say college age men with those Olympians, the shot put or triple or long jump would be having very high disparages as well. You know, I'm not saying this to make women depressed or say that men are just stronger, bigger, and faster, but they are. And so they shouldn't compete with women, and women should not compete with men. It's a safety issue. You know, Genesis 1:27, God said he made humans in two forms, male and female. It's not bad that women can't compete athletically with men. And now that the internet, the godless internet is saying that men can get pregnant, and now men are invading women's sports, what uniqueness are women going to play in society after this? You know, women have a set of attributes that generally men don't. Women can carry and give birth to a child, men can't. Women are the children nurturers. And behind every good, powerful man, rest assured, there's an even stronger woman. Get men out of women's sports, all of them. That's all I got to say. God bless. Thank you.